everybody, Adam from Atlas Gunworks. Talking about sights, lots of new optic sights here, red dots out for 2019. The hot topic, or the hot sight in the last year or so has been the Holosun. Randy's our local GM and club president, so Randy tests and breaks all the gear if he can. So there's a Holosun. That one's been on that gun for how many rounds, Randy?
About 20,000 rounds probably.
No problems. We've got a couple other GMs that started running them mid last year, also not having any problems. So the Holosun's nice. The downside is it's big, but the upside is the glass is huge. What are your thoughts on the Holosun, Randy?
The size of the glass on the Holosun, the height and the width, I find it super helpful when you're getting into an odd position where you're bringing the gun in kind of a little sideways, or the strong hand weak hand transfer stuff. I find it's really easy to pick the dot up if I do something wrong with my technique. It's very helpful there, the size of the glass. What's kind of a downside to this sight, I think, is just the dot size. It's just a little on the small side for me.
So it's a 2.5 MOA, and then when we turn them up, they really operate bigger than that, but definitely. They start to not be as clean when you turn them up, right, too.
So when you turn this up, it kind of bursts out a little bit. It's definitely not as clean as the other two sights we're going to talk about here in a minute.
And the delta point kind of operates in that same zone. 2.5, turn it up, it's bigger, but it's not so clean. And then the other downside to the Holosun is we get some of the ejection port covered there, so you're getting some cases bouncing off the bottom of this. It's not that hard to tune the guns for them, but you do have to set the guns up on occasion to have a little sideways ejection pattern instead of sideways end up. Randy's got, this isn't Randy's gun, this is a brand new customer gun, but a Chaos, but this is a Trijicon SRO. Randy's running this on his backup gun, just testing it now. If you look at what Trijicon did, they took, if we had a wish list, they hit almost everything. So I'm a big proponent of the screw down battery top, battery with a screw down from the top or a lock from the top. They've got that. That seems to be the best connection setup. The plus minus buttons are big and easy to use. The adjustments are click. You could do it with a screwdriver or maybe a penny or a nickel, maybe a dime. The window's bigger, and then they ran a 5 MOA dot, and they've got a pretty clean dot.
Yes.
And they've got pretty nice glass in this unit. So your thoughts on the SRO from Trijicon?
So I first put the Trijicon on the gun, and I'm like, immediately fell in love with the dot. I have a little bit of astigmatism in my eye, and this dot stays clear and pretty round, even at full brightness, which is kind of weird. So I really like that. The thing that kind of gets me with the SRO is just the thickness of the ring here. So you're looking through that. It's almost like going back to the old days where you're looking through a tube. It just kind of distracts you a little bit, and it kind of takes away a little bit from the actual size of the window in appearance. Just an eye visual thing. The way it adjusts is great. No tool required other than a piece of brass off the ground, and it operates really nice. And I actually have it on my main gun right now, so I'm shooting Area 8 this weekend with one of these.
So more data coming on the SRO, but in the most part, they did a pretty nice job. So just out this week, with lots of big hopes, is the Romeo 3 Max, so the Max Michel edition of the Romeo 3. And so there are a couple things to note here. They came out and said that the pattern's going to be the same as the old Romeo 3s, and the Seymour RTS2 also use the same footprint pattern. And that is true. The issue is that they added a bunch of unneeded material up front here, and to get this to fit on a mount we already had, you can see maybe the silver in there, we had to cut this. So it will require its own special mount. That's the downside for anybody who's running these. But Atlas will have the new mounts out here. They're in production actually today, and then they're 2-3 weeks away. So we'll have mounts. We have mounts for the other two all ready to go, but this one. And then they gave a good screw size, so you can actually use the factory screws. This one has one factory and one of our M4 by 12s. So the battery on this one's got very much like the Holosun, is the lock-in with it, and it comes in from the side in a tray, and then you screw it in with two big electric contact points, I guess. So how well those contact points is probably a factor in how the longevity of the connection, which has always been the downside of these micro dots. They vibrate a whole bunch, they lose connection, dot shuts off, and then you got no sight. And then the only other downside I think that Randy pointed out, he just shot this one today, is that the adjustments require an Allen key. They're a little more clunky. Sometimes these get stripped out. It's less nice than the SRO or the Delta Point, which just use the more like a rifle scope clicks.
Right.
And then the up and down adjustments are nice on this one. So Randy just shot this one. I haven't shot it yet. Randy, thoughts on that one?
So I just pulled the SRO off and slid this on my gun and ran some of my favorite drills with it. And I immediately noticed the window was a little bit bigger than the SRO across the width. The height is about the same, but it's a little bit wider. So at 7 yards, when you put this gun up on the target, the whole target's inside. You can see both shoulders of the target. It's pretty nice. The dot's pretty crisp, not quite as crisp as the SRO, but it's pretty close. But what I loved about it the most, other than the shape of the lens, is the fact that there's not a lot of material around the glass. So when you put the gun up in front of you, you don't really see it. The SRO you see up there, it takes you a few minutes to get used to running that bigger, heavy ring. This disappears really fast for you. I really like this one a lot.
So the issue that we're gonna have, or that customers might have, and they're like, which one do I buy? And we're giving you a bunch of data here. I think both these are good options. What we know today is that the Holosun, that big 510C rifle sight holds up, right? We got a lot of people with a lot of rounds on them, and I know of one of them having an issue, and they were really quick to fix it. So that's a pretty reliable sight. When you get down to these smaller sights, almost none of them over time have been reliable. So every manufacturer has gone in and out of having production problems. And almost all of it's battery contact. So which one of these will win in that battle, there's no time will tell. But Trijicon's got a nice thing with the battery being screwed down here. That's also a proven battery tray, just not in that size of a dot. So where are we here? We're tail end of August of 2019. We just don't know yet which one until we get some rounds on them. So that's the big question. Other than that, I think these two, so they've listened to shooters and they've come out with sights that are going to work a lot better. My gut feeling is, and Randy, I'm interested in your gut feeling, but I think this is going to be the USPSA folks on the open guns. I think the 3-gun / guys on their own, or on duty guns or carry guns, is going to be more this sight. That would be my go-to if I had to guess where we should, or where they're going to land, if they're both equally as reliable.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call. A lot of the tactical guys, they swear by the name. Definitely appears to be more rugged surrounding the lens and all, so that'd be my call too.
So time will tell who wins out on the battle, but there's a bunch of information for you, and we hope to see you guys on the range soon.